Dear Nige, in response to your question, why would you do that to that poor Intercept frowning face emoji? Thank you for your interest in my work and for allowing me to answer your very valid question. Why does a person invest thousands of hours of his life without payment into something that other people may or may not appreciate? Why would a sane person choose to lock himself in his shop with grinder and torch and welder and scrapers and hammers and abrasives and knuckle-busting devices of every sort, breathing fumes and vapors and dust of every description, to the incessant drone of the air compressor hammering, when he could choose to play golf or sit on the deck sipping mint juleps? Clearly, we are speaking in the realm of a form of insanity here. And insanity is a thing that can never be fully understood by anyone who has not experienced it personally. However, I will take a whack at describing it here in an attempt to help build a reference for understanding for those who do not share this affliction. First, let's define my disease as best we can to secure a firm footing for our journey. I am not a collector nor a curator. I do not seek things of beauty so that I can store them and own them and preserve them for eternity. While I appreciate these people deeply, this is not my vocation. My life story is littered with countless cars, trucks, motorcycles, houses, buildings, furniture ad infinitum that I have stumbled upon in the great refuse pile of busted, rusted, and abandoned wares, and put back into circulation as repaired, rebuilt, recycled, and on a good day, improved. Recently, my interest has taken me into the arena of classic automobiles. My most recent project was a custom street rod build that was nominated for the Car of the Year by the 20,000 members of the Minnesota Street Rod Association. And when I realized that I might just have one last car project left in me, I'm 68, I knew it had to be something special to put the final exclamation point at the end of my sordid story. I searched far and wide and looked at a lot of potential projects, but nothing was really rising to the top of my list until I stumbled upon my Jensen in a shed just down the street from my home. Last driven in 1984, it was dismantled, rusted, decaying, and all manner of disheveled, lacking a motor, a transmission, a windshield, dashboard, and wheels. It sported flat, rotten tires, a rat's nest for a wiring harness, and a huge pile of unmarked bits and pieces, some of which were from other vehicles, it turned out. It was love at first sight. The classic Italian lines and the unique proportions hinted at a heart of beauty hidden behind this steeping pile of vermin dung and 30 years of obvious abuse at the hands of well-meaning but grossly ill-equipped previous owners. Knowing that I was swinging for a fence that seemed 1,000 miles away, I began by reaching out to Jensen International Automotive, who seemed to be the international gods of Jensen rebuilding and modification. To my delight, I received a lovely and encouraging letter from Duran Heslop at JIA with some helpful tips and a few well-received caveats. Further encouragement and a marvelous 4-wheel brake upgrade kit were received from Scott Illingson at Fosway Performance. A freshly built LS motor and a 6-speed automatic transmission were acquired, and I had the running gear all sorted out. About this time, which was 2017, I realized that if all went well, I could finish this build in 2019, which would be the 50th anniversary of the unveiling of the original Interceptor Mark II in 1969. I thought about all of the factory-built 50th anniversary special edition cars I've seen of iconic American cars, Corvette, Camaro, Mustang, Thunderbird, and realized that as an orphan, there was nobody left in West Bromwich to build a special edition Mark II to celebrate this milestone. I even checked with the leadership of the International Jensen Owners Club to see if anyone else might be doing this, and was left with the fact that if it was going to happen, it would be up to me to do it. I was already committed to up-to-date brakes and drivetrain, and having access to world-class fabrication potential, I decided to plunge forward with the 50th anniversary Jensen Mark II Special Edition, number 1 of 1. Having noticed several attempts made at adding some front ground effects to Interceptors on the internet, and I believe that the Mark IIIs eventually went there, the lengthy job of ground effects fabrication was begun, and followed by a rear spoiler fabrication, rear wheel flares, and a major restyling of the front wing vents, which was the only thing that I didn't like about the original. In order to make a plausible 21st century version, the bumpers and overriders were deleted, along with the rather gaudy 1970s slabs of stainless steel on the rockers and the rear boot. Recessed taillights, license plate, and front flashers smoothed out the lines. And now the only clear remnant of the 1970s was the garishly large door handle pulls. My understanding was that these were sourced from Fiat, so I looked to Fiat for replacements, and the ones I found were made for the Fiat Barchetta, a model that was never imported to the United States. It took me 2 months to track down a set of these handles in a junkyard in Belgium, and another month to bridge the language and the currency barriers that separated us to actually get them in my hands. Making them function with the Jensen operators was a whole new story. Being not a professional mechanic, but a retired priest who finds joy in working with my hands, I am conditioned to seeing the world through a prophetic lens of discernment, which is always asking the question, where is God in this? Or for my agnostic friends, what is the best of this? This car is my best answer to that question, posed in my neighbor's shed some 5 years ago. It is not a bolt-for-bolt restoration of the car built in March 1971 in West Bromwich. And for many people, I understand that makes it just another Yank bodge of a fine British icon. Fine. I apologize for my insolence. There is a saying that goes, your vocation is the place where your greatest gifts meet the world's greatest needs. I'd like to think that I did the best I could with the skill set that I have to find the best version of the rusting hulk that I happened upon. I didn't have access to the parts to restore it perfectly to what it started out as, so I guess I'll just have to settle for a lighter, better balanced, better braking, faster, more powerful, more efficient, 25 miles to the gallon, more aerodynamic, more comfortable, 6-way power adjusting bucket seats, safer, more convenient, backup camera version of the original. That still retains all of the original lines and the proportions and the spirit of the original car. My question then is, if you offered this technology to the Jensen engineers in 1969, do you think they would have stuck their noses up at it? How about the customers? Is it possible that if they could have built an Interceptor that achieved 25 miles per gallon back then, they might still be in business and would have been able to design their own version of the 50th anniversary special edition and I could have built a '57 Chevy that would insult nobody. Best regards, Mike Ader.